Hello, my name is Max Curtis and this is my short video tutorial about what I learned over the course of my assignment. My assignment was done using the Unity game engine and it was a top-down shooter, as you can kind of see here. So one thing I needed was to learn how to register collision in Unity. Collision in Unity is handled using various types of colliders here under the physics section in the add component button in the inspector. You can have a box collider, sphere collider, capsule collider, lots of different types of colliders. But for mine I mostly use box colliders. This one, for instance, is on my enemy ship up here. I also had box colliders on the bullets and the player ship, not because they were the most appropriate, but because they suited the need I actually had for them. It was very simple, they just had to register along one plane, and it just suited me best as a hitbox. So one problem I quickly encountered when using the box collider was that things would collide and cause the rotation to change and cause the ship to start drifting into the y-axis, which is a big problem when you can only move along the X and Z. You can't exactly get back and fix that. So there's a checkbox here called is trigger, which will allow things to drift through one another, pass through one another without physically interacting, but it will still register the collision between the two objects. But for that to happen, one of the objects has to have this little thing here, a rigid body. And the rigid body will give one of the objects a mass, and it can have gravity act on it, but I unchecked that box already because I don't want gravity to have any impact in my game. So this caused me to have another problem, because now the bullets were passing through the ships, registering the collision, and then disappearing as they were scripted to. But then when the ships collided, they would still knock each other off course or cause a change in the rotation, and then when you move it would bring you off course into the y-axis. So to fix that, there's another checkbox on the actual rigid body called is kinematic, which will allow the same benefits of the rigid body which is necessary for the is trigger to actually be recognized, but it won't cause a physical collision in the world between the two objects. So once again, they'll just pass through one another and it'll register the collision without actually having them physically collide. So if you need things to pass through one another and still register the collision, you can use the is trigger and is kinematic buttons on the rigid body. Just remember that one of the objects using the is trigger collision has to have a rigid body on it. So if you want two rigid bodies in the world that will be colliding with different things that eventually have to collide with one another, and you still don't want a physical interaction, just check that little is kinematic button there and that'll solve your problems. Thanks.